Okay, so this particular study, this is my plan. And willing to change it and see what the Lord does, but right now this is the plan, is to go through. This pace would cover the entire Bible in approximately 2 years, with equal time for the Old and New Testaments. But we're doing a 12-week trial going through the first 5 books. So tonight is only the first 5 chapters because of this other material that I'm doing, and then in the future it'll be more like 10 to 15 chapters. Given the hunk of Scripture that we'll be covering each time, we're not going to be reading every verse. This isn't a word-for-word study. We'll be skimming along, looking at stuff, and diving occasionally. We'll be going over each passage in a high-level manner with occasional dives into specific verses. However, strongly encourage you guys to read the passage, preferably before that week's study, and then we can be on the same page. But if you don't, that's still cool. You'll still hopefully get stuff out of it. There's a thing that is encouraged here at this church called life transformation groups. That's where 2 or 3 people get together once a week, and they talk about a hunk of Scripture, and they share what God is doing in their lives. If you want, you can use this schedule. Sometimes one of the people freak out because they go, I don't know what passage to cover. I don't know what to cover. Go on and use this schedule, and then you can also have that richness of talking about it. There's cards available to make that easy. Also, in One Accord, we've been going over different books, and instead, for a while now, what we'll do is we'll take a dive into particular hard things about each passage, and so we'll cover those in One Accord. Which version of the Bible should we use? The Bible is originally written in Hebrew and Greek, with some short passages in Aramaic. To get to English, we got to translate it. So what kind of translation do you want to use? There is a more literal translation, which goes word for word. Examples of that would be the New King James, or would be the New American Standard. Those are more literal translations. In fact, when the Greek or the Hebrew have a bit of ambiguity in what they say, those versions try to preserve that. They try to keep that ambiguity in, so that if it seems like the passage could be interpreted a couple different ways, they try to preserve that it could keep interpreting it that way. There is dynamic equivalent translations. These are translations more thought for thought translations. And the examples of that would be like the NIV or the NLT, New Living Translation. And many times the ambiguity is not preserved in those, that they are more thought for thought. And then there's more of a paraphrase type translation, like the Message. The differences are not gigantic, but they can be important. I use lots of different translations when I'm trying to understand things. For this study, I'm going to primarily use the New King James Version. It's the one I prefer, and so I get to choose. Phil usually chooses the New American Standard. They're kissing cousins. There's 2 main branches in the Greek manuscript of text, and the New American Standard chooses one branch and footnotes the second, and the New King James chooses the other branch and footnotes the first. So, it all depends on what you want to go with. And so I chose the New King James. Plan is to post these sessions online at the website. There's a little area set up on the church website. And we can also discuss I set up a Facebook group for discussions. And like I said, we'll be talking about them in One Accord.